right.
I've been given a list of questions here by a Japanese journalist. I'm actually a translator.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So this is being done with the interviewer in absentia, if you will.
Okay.
So actually, I talked to John Anderson about 2 days ago. Asked him a lot of the same questions.
So you speak Japanese too?
Yeah. Chris, actually, I interviewed you once here before a couple of years ago with the same guy, and this is the second time around.
Oh, what, in Japan?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you probably don't remember because you do a lot of...
What's your name again?
My name is Steve Harris.
I do kind of remember you a bit.
Maybe you remember a non-Japanese interpreter.
Yeah.
That was me.
Okay.
So anyway.
So how's life in Tokyo? Good.
Very good. Very good. There are a lot of people over here looking forward to seeing you guys.
Yeah.
This interviewer, whose name is Ichikawa, wants to know why exactly there was such a big shakeup in the Yes lineup for this most recent album.
Well, it's not really such a big shake-up. It's just returning to the classic 70s lineup. We all played together again on the Union tour in '91, and I suppose we were pleasantly surprised that we got along with each other pretty well. So we did say that we wanted to get back together and do some more work, after that tour. And so here we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess Trevor Rabin's gone to do film music and stuff.
Oh, I see.
So it's been a very amicable change. There's been no problems.
Why did you revert to the classic 70s lineup?
Well, we were just, obviously Steve, I guess, has missed being in the band, I guess, quite a bit, but it was just time for another change. Yes, is always changing,
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it was just time for another change.
There was something about sort of a semi-legend among the fans that you members of Yes 22 years ago made some sort of pact that you would be reforming again. 22 years.
That's John Anderson's John Anderson's press kit. But it's absolutely true.
Really? What?
No, it's not.
Yes, it sounds a little bit suspect. I mean, you guys, I think there was sort of a legend that you were sitting around in a semi-seance type of situation and talking about,
Listen, if it makes good press, print it.
Yeah, I think you're right. How about the last record, Talk? That didn't seem to quite sell as many copies as we had.
No, well, that was a difficult situation. We were also with the Victory, our label, and that had its own problems as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, combined with the fact that maybe it wasn't, one of the most outstanding Yes albums, we also had problems with distribution and all kinds of things as well. And but not every album can be a great one.
Do you think that Yes is so unique that you require a special label? The Victory people maybe didn't quite understand the essence of what Yes is supposed to be.
Well, that's not actually the case, because the guy who was running it, the guy called Phil Carson, had been with us at Atlantic Records for most of the years that we were successful there. So he was very familiar with the band.
Mm-hmm.
I just think, certain things just didn't connect, didn't click. And, in actual fact, I mean, it sold 500,000 albums, but you wouldn't really have noticed that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is respectable.
Yeah.
I guess, considering some of the sound of it and the confidence that seemed to go into it, suggested that it might sell more. I mean,
I wasn't sure. I mean, it was very much Trevor Rabin's thing as well. It was very much his baby, that album.
Right.
So one didn't really know how it was going to end up, but anyway, that's history now.
Would it be crass to assume that maybe you guys decided to revert back to the 70s lineup because Talk represented the direction you didn't want to go into?
Yeah, you could say that was definitely had some bearing on it, although it wasn't the whole thing. The problem was we were becoming a lot more influenced by especially on Talk, that we were working with the computer so much that that I think we wanted to be able to get back to actually playing together, and producing the music that way, and then using the computers as a tool to help rather than as a tool to originate the album.
In what way were you relying on computers for Talk?
Well, Trevor Rabin was very into using the computers as a creative writing tool, as opposed to just an after-the-fact post-production, sort of system. And so a lot of the stuff, we were putting it down first into computer, then overdubbing on that, and then adding drums to that. You see what I mean?
So
it's coming from that direction.
So it was already almost a viable product at the pre-production stage.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was just so no one was actually playing on it until after it was created. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not a bad way of doing things. It's just a different way that I don't particularly think suits Yes.
So I guess a fellow like Trevor Rabin is probably better off on his own then.
Probably so. Let's wish him luck.
Yeah. We certainly will do that. And on this record, you have done the very Yes-like. You've pursued a very Yes-like approach, in that there are only 2 songs of about 30 minutes apiece.
Yeah. Well, what, the new songs?
Yeah.
Well, one is about 20 minutes. The other one's not that long. The other one's about 12, I think. So they're not 30 minutes apiece.
Oh, is that right? Well, I wonder why the guy has this written down here. I guess they're just very...
Maybe it's 30 minutes between them, I think.
Oh, okay. But it seems very unusual in this day and age to take that approach.
Yeah, well, you know what it was? We were rehearsing again to do the live album. We were rehearsing a track from Topographic Oceans, and could you bring my food in, please, Melissa? And we were rehearsing a track for from Topographic Oceans to do for the live album, and I suppose we got involved in that format of doing the rehearsing that longer pieces. So when we started working on the new pieces, I suppose we'd just been rehearsing the longer pieces, so we had become used to working in that format.
And maybe the classic 70s lineup performs better within that kind of framework.
Maybe so, yeah.
Where you're given more latitude to make a song develop.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's very much it's one of Yes's styles, and obviously we gravitated towards that one again.
So getting back into that kind of into that sort of mode, do you feel more happy than before? Do you feel like you've returned to your forte?
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel very happy at the moment because the album seems to have turned out very well, and I think it'll be good when we go on the road eventually. It'll be a good album to tour with.
There's kind of a running joke among Yes fans. This guy points out that your telephone is sort of the source of all personnel changes in the band. That you send
my telephone.
Yes, your telephone. You send out.
Don't blame me.
It said that you send out the sort of orders there. You're like the brain center.
Well, Thank you very much.
This guy was wondering, as the head of personnel and Yes there.
Well, yes, I'm the personnel director.
You're the personnel director.
Yeah.
He was had a few questions about things that have happened thus far, just to sort of set the record straight. And believe it or not, the first thing he asks here is how you switched from Peter Banks to Steve Howe.
How? Well, it was, thank you. I don't know, it was, I guess we just, we did the first two albums with Peter, and you know, things I guess were just, that was a musical direction thing, where we were becoming more interested in slightly different guitar styles other than the one that Peter sort of played. The style he played was, you know, maybe a bit limiting to what, you know, we wanted to do. That's why it appealed to us to get Steve Howe, because of his jazz influence and his country influence, and, you know, and his many different ways of playing. Mm-hmm. And so at the time, that's why we changed.
And how about Tony Kaye to Rick Wakeman?
Well, I guess that was in that once we got Steve Howe, who was obviously technically very good. I suppose we thought it would be a good idea to have a keyboard player who was technically a bit better than Tony. Mm-hmm. Even because, I mean, Tony Kaye is not a bad player. He's just, you know, he's a different kind, more of a feel kind of player. Mm-hmm. You know, more bluesy, funk kind of player, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And then you would later switch from Wakeman to Patrick Moratz.
Well, that was because we needed to replace Rick, because Rick was having a big success with his solo career. Mm-hmm. So, of course, he wanted to go and pursue that.
And then he would later come back again.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I don't know.
I guess he got it out of his system and decided that maybe Yes was the way to go.
Well, yeah. Well, he came back. He came back twice. This is the second time.
Mm-hmm. And how about Bill Bruford to Alan White?
Well, that was a big change. That was a big change for me because, you know, I'm the bass player, and also they're very different styles of drummer. Mm-hmm. And but I'm very happy that I've been so lucky to have played with both styles of playing over the years. Mm-hmm. So I'm grateful for that.
How about personality-wise? How did you get on with Bill Bruford as opposed to
well, very well. I mean, Bill and I have very similar upbringing, you know, in English kind of system. You know, we went to the same kind of school and everything. Mm-hmm. So, I get on with Bill very well. And, you know, but it's been such a long time, really, since, you know, now I'm used to playing with Alan, and we have a certain style and way of playing, and, you know, and that's become what it is now.
Yeah, it's second nature kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, and then there was the Anderson Howe change to the two guys from Buggles. Mm-hmm. Was it Jeff Townsend and Trevor Horn? How about that?
Well, that was very different.
Yeah.
Not so different for the keyboard playing. I mean, Jeff Townsend is a very good keyboard player, but different from Rick. And you know, I like Jeff's playing, and of course, Trevor Horn was a very, very different singer from John in many ways, but in some ways it wasn't so different. You know, he could sing some Yes things very much like John, and then other times he would, you know, he would lose his confidence a little bit, and you know, but he was more of a studio musician anyway, Trevor Horn. You know, he's not naturally a great live performer.
Yeah.
So that's the difference with John and Trevor.
It's funny that, you know, that you still get asked about that period of Yes history, but I guess it sort of sticks out in fans' mind because the identity of the band seemed to be almost in danger at the time. It was supposed to be a project called Cinema, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And at the time, did you had actually played the tape 90125 for John? Had you tried to get him involved?
No, it wasn't until we really got very close to finishing the album that I went and played the tape to John and said, well, what do you think? Would you like to rejoin the band? You know? And he was very impressed with what we'd done, and so he felt like he wanted to come back at that point. So that was, and so just at the last minute we changed the name back to Yes again.
And when the 8 of you all got together again, I guess it was for the Union tour.
Yeah.
Did you have any problem with that at all? Because there had been, I remember Trevor Rabin had said at the time that he couldn't really believe that you guys could actually pull it off, because there had been a bit of legal there had been legal hassles involved. There seemed to be a little bit of bad blood between the members.
Well, yeah, I wasn't sure how it was going to go. I was particularly nervous about how it would be working with Rick Wakeman again, because when I'd finished working with him before, we hadn't been particularly friendly. Even though we weren't enemies either, but we weren't, we hadn't been very close. But when we did the Union tour, I was very happy to find out that it was very easy to work with Rick again. And that's one of the reasons why we've come back to this situation now.
One thing I had discussed with John the other day was his relationship with you, and how the two of you seem to form the core of the band. I mean, through all the years, that's been the one major constant thread running through this band. Is it a personality thing with you and John? I mean, you seem to be very tolerant of his style, which is at times a bit off the wall.
Yeah, you can say that again.
I was putting it mildly.
Yeah.
But do you get on with him personally, or is it more a professional relationship or a musical relationship first and foremost?
Well, we always, I think, maybe one of the reasons why we have been together for so long is because we have had more of a professional relationship then, and we haven't always been best friends, always going out to dinner with each other or anything like that. It's been more professional, but strangely enough, in the last year since we've been working on this project again, we've been a bit closer than we have been in the past.
So,
what did he say?
He said he couldn't stand you, but he liked to work with you anyway. No, he didn't say. He said that he's a very spiritual person, and that he can sort of identify a certain spirituality that exists between both you and him, and also the main members of the band, and that's something that bonds you.
Well, that's a very good answer. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's very correct.
And I guess there's also an understanding among you guys that the Yes is maybe greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is definitely true.
That's something that Robert Fripp always comes back to as well with King Crimson. He talks about the entity King Crimson being bigger than all of us, and that he hears a little voice saying the band must get back together again, and it does. And when it does, it starts to sound like King Crimson. He says
right.
He has no power over it. I guess the same thing applies to a degree to you guys as well.
Yes, I think so. Well, I mean, I don't know. Do you like the new songs?
New songs by who?
By Yes.
Yes, I haven't heard the new.
Oh, you haven't heard them? Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm still one album behind because I'm just a translator, so I have not been let in on this yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess the guy that you're doing the interview for has.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But that's the terms in which we usually speak about Yes, about it being greater than the sum of its parts, and I guess these latest songs are once again indicative of that.
Yeah, I think so. They're very yes kind of songs, and you know, I think they were both they're very very successful products.
When you say they're yes songs, you mean they're like the '70s yes songs?
Not really. They borrow from that time period because they're longer. But actually, I think they're very 90s. But I'm not sure. You'll have to listen. I mean, we're the same players after all, so maybe we're rooted in the 70s. I don't know.
It's funny because you bands like Yes and Crimson sort of defy conventional rock and roll wisdom, in that it's assumed that those bands will never break up. You may go on sabbatical, you may have shakeups in the lineup, but it's kind of assumed that you'll never break up.
Well, that's a good thing. I'll tell my bank manager.
Is that an assumption you work under, or is it more fragile than we're led to believe?
No. I hope that's the position we've come. I mean, let's face it, we've managed to stay together now for 27 years. Is it 27? 68? No, nearly 28 years. So, if we can do that, then probably you're right. Probably the band is never going to disappear.
And could you see yourself getting involved in any other project for, a substantial length of time?
Well, yeah. Well, that's how am I going to do that? Sorry. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Right. So I am involved in actually at the moment in finishing off my second solo album, which is now 22 years after the first one. I'm making another one, and that's nearly done. So I've been working on that most of this year as well. It's been a very busy year for me.
Why is that coming to fruition now?
Well, because it's about time more than anything else.